بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي فضل الإسلام على سائر الأديان، وفضل أمة الإسلام على سائر الأمم، وفضل محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم على الخلق أجمعين. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له قيوم السماوات والأراضين، بعث نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم رحمة للعالمين. وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله، بلغ حقيقة رسالة ربه وأفضل الأمانة ونصح للأمة، وجاهد لله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. إخواني في الله وأخواتي في الإسلام، أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله عز وجل وبعدم إسيانه، فلقد قال لي ولكم: تلك الدار الآخرة نجعلها للذين لا يريدون علوا في الأرض ولا فسادا والعاقبة للمتقين. عباد الله، قد طلع علينا يوم عظيم ويوم مبارك، ألا وهو يوم الجمعة. إن الله تبارك وتعالى لما خلقنا لم يتركنا عملا، بل بعث إلينا رسل وكتب حتى تستقيم حياتنا. أما الذين يتبعون هداية الرسل فلهم جزاء الحسن في الدنيا والآخرة، أما الذين عصوا الرسل واتبعوا شهواتهم فمصيرهم إلى الله. Brothers and sisters in Islam, we thank the Almighty Allah for an opportunity to be here. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today is a Friday. I'm not really sure that it's the 11th or the 12th of Rabiul Awwal, 1445 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which corresponds, I believe, with the 29th day of September 2023. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. I remember the last time I was here was about 6 years ago, or even 7 years ago, five years ago. It was a class between Maghrib and Isha, somewhere September 2019. When I came into the Masjid, I remember. And the Almighty Allah created us as Muslims. He gave us a purpose. And as Muslims, we have an identity. You know very well now that the most prevailing word in the world now is identity. What is your identity? What do you identify as? What is your gender identity? This is the prevailing word now in the world. And people are investing billions of dollars in trying to put forth a specific identity, in trying to force down the throats of the world a particular identity. So as Muslims, what is our identity? The Muslims in America must understand one thing. We hold the solutions to the problems that the world faces today. And we are on the Malcolm X Boulevard, right? And he famously said, the solutions to the problems of America is what? It's Islam. So it might be a coincidence that we're speaking about this. We're quoting a man who the street that the Masjid is located right in front of has been named after him. Let's not be timid as Muslims in this country. Let's bring forth our solutions to the problems that the country faces. The whole world now is in turmoil. We don't know where we are going. Anything or anybody can just be the order of the day. It's so painful that if you want to be a star now in the world, if you want to be a celebrity now in the world, strip naked on TikTok or Snapchat and then you become famous. It's so painful that young Muslims today are not sure what they want to do, are not sure where they are going, are not sure how to live their lives. I tell you a personal story. In a madrasa that I was teaching here in America, 2 young girls in full hijab were debating between Nicki Minaj and Beyonce, who is better. This is where we are now. And they are in madrasa. They're reading the Quran. I'm not talking about Muslim girls out there who do not have any connection with the deen. No, I'm speaking about girls in madrasa who were debating. And their jugular veins were all high. And their eyes are turned red. I'm telling you, Nicki Minaj is better. You just shut up. Beyonce is better. What is our identity? Who are we? What role do we play in the socio-economic development of this country? Are we just here as immigrants, as Muslims, just for the dollars? Or why are we here? Why did we travel from all these different countries in the world and then come and station ourselves here in America? Some families here have 3 generations. Grandfather, father, kids. All of them here. Why are you here? What contribution are you making in this country? It's a question we all must ask ourselves. And I don't think it is a simple answer to that. Because let me look at my life, and you should also observe your life and see how is Islam manifested in your day in, day out activities. It's very important. I don't need to answer that for you. You are going to answer it yourself. What is our identity as Muslims? Our number one identity as Muslims is our tawheed and our aqidah with Almighty Allah. This comes first, nothing else. This is number one. If you have a problem with this first point, then your whole essence of living in this dunya, with all due respect, is useless. I'm very sorry to say this. The Almighty Allah says in Surah Al-Dhariyat, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ يُطْعِمُونَ. The Almighty Allah said the purpose for the creation of the jinn and the humankind, Imam Ibn Abbas says, أَنْ يُوحِدُونَ, for us to worship the Almighty Allah and the Almighty Allah alone. مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ. The Almighty Allah doesn't need any form of sustenance from us. إِنَّ اللَّهَ هُوَ الرَّزَّاقُ ذُو الْقُوَّةِ الْمَتِينَ. The Almighty Allah is the provider, is the cherisher, is the sustainer, He is the strong one. So whatever you're doing in this dunya today, understand one thing: your scale and your measurement, and then your what you use to check your life should be in accordance with your belief with Almighty Allah and then your relationship with Almighty Allah. It don't matter whatever career you have. If the Almighty Allah is not number one on your business agenda for the day, you're wasting your time. If the Almighty Allah is not number one on your business agenda for the day, you don't have any business living in this dunya. When we say we believe in the Almighty Allah, it's not something easy, brothers and sisters, understand it. It's not mere rhetoric. It's not saying, La ilaha illallah, and then you're done with the Almighty Allah. No. And sometimes some Muslims confuse that. Because I say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, I'm done with the Almighty Allah. That's it. No. Alif lam mim, ahasiba an-nasu an yutraku an yaqulu amanna wa hum la yuftanun. Do you think, the Almighty Allah tells us in Surah Al-Ankabut, do you think that the fact that you say, I believe in the Almighty Allah, the Almighty Allah is not going to test you? وَلَقَدْ فَتَنَّ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. I, the Almighty Allah, tested those who came before them. وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلَيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. That's how the Almighty Allah differentiates between those who are truthful and those who are lying. So when you say you believe in the Almighty Allah, when we say our identity is with the Almighty Allah, prepare, be prepared. The trials and the tribulations and the challenges are going to come. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُم مُّصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ أُولَٰئِكَ عَلَيْهِمْ صَلَوَاتٌ مِّن رَّبِّهِمْ وَرَحْمَةٌ وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْمُهْتَدُونَ. All of us know this verse. There's no need for me to translate it. Right? The Almighty is going to test us and understand one thing. كُلَّ يُصِيبَنَا إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَنَا. Nothing is going to afflict us except what the Almighty Allah has decreed for us. Huwa Mawlana. He is our cherisher. He is our provider. He is our protector. Muslims understand this. وَعِنْدَهُ مَفَاتِحُ الْغَيْبِ لَا يَعْلَمُهَا إِلَّا هُوَ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا وَلَا حَبَّةٍ فِي ظُلُمَاتِ الْأَرْضِ وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. The keys of the unseen are with the Almighty Allah. Nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow except the Almighty Allah. لَا يَعْلَمُهَا إِلَّا هُوَ وَيَعْلَمُ مَا فِي الْبَرِّ وَالْبَحْرِ. The Almighty Allah knows what is on the land and what is in the sea. وَمَا تَسْقُطُ مِنْ وَرَقَةٍ إِلَّا يَعْلَمُهَا. Not a leaf will fall from a tree except the Almighty Allah knows about it. وَلَا رَطْبٍ وَلَا يَابِسٍ إِلَّا فِي كِتَابٍ مُبِينٍ. Not a dry twig or a fresh branch except the Almighty Allah knows about it. So as a Muslim, when you say you believe in the Almighty Allah, you believe that the Almighty Allah is in control of your affairs. Good, bad, success, pain, gain, loss, your life is what the Almighty Allah determines and decrees it to be. Have this belief. This is the core of our aqidah. This is the core of our creed as Muslims. That whatever happens in this dunya is by the will of the Almighty Allah. Nobody has any hands in your success except the Almighty Allah. Nobody has any hands in your retrogression except by the will of the Almighty Allah. Understand this. And this is not lip service. This is why the prophets came, and this is why the Sahaba went through a lot of persecutions. Do you think that the kuffar of Makkah didn't understand La ilaha illallah? They understood it perfectly. Sometimes I'm even tempted to say that the kuffar of Makkah understood La ilaha illallah better than some of us modern day Muslims. Sometimes I'm tempted to say. Because they understood what they were going to say. The Almighty Allah tells us in the Quran, they said, أَجَعَلَ الْآلِهَةَ إِلَهًا وَاحِدًا. Muhammad wants to tell us that all these gods are useless. He's going to mold all of them into one God. Meaning they had the God of the rain, they had God of war, they had God of success, they got a God of travel. And if they're going to do any of these activities, they go to that specific idol to worship and then to do their sacrifices there. Now Muhammad is telling them that one God will be able to do all these things. They understood what La ilaha illallah meant. They understood it. So my brothers and sisters, our number one identity as Muslims is Allah comes first. The hadith of Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, which is found in Sahihayn, where he was traveling with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the same donkey. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ya ghulam, inni u'allimuka kalimatin ihfadhillaha yahfadhaka. Ihfadhillaha tajidhu tajahak. Law anna an-nas اجتمعوا على أن ينفعوك بشيء لن ينفعوك بشيء إلا ما قد كتبه الله لك وإن الناس اجتمعوا على أن يضروك بشيء لن يضروك بشيء إلا ما قد كتبه الله لك رفعت الأقلام وجفت الصحف إنما الأمر بالقدر. The Prophet said, oh boy, listen, I'm going to teach you some words. احفظ الله يحفظك. Be mindful of the Almighty Allah. The Almighty Allah is going to protect you. احفظ الله تجده تجاهك. Be mindful of the Almighty Allah. You will find Him in front of you. لو أن الناس. Young man, listen. If the whole world, not the city of New York or even Harlem, the whole world should come and sit on the same table, and the agenda is they want to give you something of benefit in this dunya, the Prophet said they will never be able to give you anything except what the Almighty Allah has decreed for you to have.
And if they are also going to come into a meeting because of you, that they are going to give you a tough time, they're going to disturb you, they're going to worry you, they will never be able to do it except the Almighty Allah wills it. And listen to the hadith. The Prophet said, Rufi'at al-aqlam. The pens have been lifted, meaning the writing has stopped. Wajaffat al-suhuf. The pages are dry. Innama al-amru bil-qadr. Everything in this dunya is by the will of the Almighty Allah. O Muslim, understand this. When you understand that this dunya is run by the mercy of the Almighty Allah, you will never be envious of your brother. You will never be jealous of what your brother has. You will not have sleepless nights because your brother is successful. You won't have a heartache when your brother is doing well, because you believe it's the Almighty Allah who gave it to him, and it's only the Almighty Allah who can do that. If you do not believe in this, after the salah, you can go to the nearest police station and go and report Allah. If your brother is doing well, and you do not believe it, that it's the Almighty Allah who has given him, or he doesn't deserve that, go to the police station and tell the police officer, I have a case. And what is your case? I don't understand. This guy came in some few years ago, and the Iran has all these beautiful things in America. I don't get it. He will send you to the mental hospital because you have a problem. When your brother has something in this dunya and then you are not happy, you are saying that the Almighty Allah is not just. You are accusing the Almighty Allah. When you feel bad because your brother is successful, you are accusing the Almighty Allah of being unjust. Imagine the severity of that. May the Almighty Allah safeguard us. So our number one identity as Muslims is our relationship with the Almighty Allah. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد. We are speaking about the identity of the Muslim, and then the first point we discussed was our relationship with the Almighty Allah. When the Almighty Allah created us, He didn't leave us to figure it out on our own. He sent us agents to teach us, and these agents are the prophets and the messengers of the Almighty Allah. And alhamdulillah, we are blessed to be part of the ummah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best of creations. What is our relationship with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? When Almighty Allah said, وَمَا آتَاكُمُ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. How do we understand this statement? That whatever the Prophet gives to us, is brought to us, let's hold it tight. Whatever he warns us against, let's be very careful about it. What is our relationship with the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? It's very, very important we understand that. The problem of the day is that the kind of role models that we pick or choose is problematic. Who is your role model? Anytime you want to do something, who comes to your mind first that I need to know how this was done? Who comes to mind first? Is it the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or is it a Hollywood star? That is the problem of the age. Sometimes you see our young Muslims, they dress in a way, they have some style of haircut. You ask them, why do you have this haircut? He tells you that because this superstar has done it. That's it. How well is the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam manifest in our day-to-day activities? How? Is it lip service? When we say Muhammad Rasulullah, we all shout Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Is that where it ends? We all know that in our Aqidah, when we say love for the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, it comprises 4 things. Number 1, ta'atuhu fima amara. Obeying the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in everything that he's ordered us to do. How well is that? Currently, we do supermarket shopping of the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What do I mean by this? You know, when you go to the supermarket, you can't buy everything, right? You pick and choose what you want. Even toothpaste, you choose. No, Colgate, I don't like it. I like Sensodyne. That's how we treat the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We pick and choose which one we want. No. This hadith, you know, then that is when our knowledge of hadith comes in. One day, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was entering the masjid. His right leg was in the masjid. His left leg was outside the masjid. And he heard the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam say, sit down, sit down, sit down. And then he sat like that. Right leg in the masjid, left leg outside. The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was teaching. After some time, he saw Abdullah ibn Mas'ud sitting like that. And there were spaces in the masjid. And the Prophet said, Ya Abdullah, why are you sitting there when there are a lot of spaces in the masjid? He said, Ya Rasulullah, my right leg was in the masjid. I was going to bring the left leg in. And I heard you say, sit down, sit down, sit down. I'm scared if I bring my left leg into the masjid and the Malakul Maut takes my life away. If I go to Qiyamah and Almighty Allah says, Ya Abdullah, my messenger said, sit down. You walked. He said, I don't have any explanation to give to the Almighty Allah on the day of Qiyamah. Since you, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, has said, sit, I'm sitting now. Is that how we deal with the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? When we hear of the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, is that our reaction to it? This is in the matter of the dunya. Sit, stand. He says no. Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhu. One day the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, I think the door for the entrance of the sisters is too small for them. Why don't we reserve this door for the sisters for them to come into the masjid? It was a short-term solution to the problem. But then Abdullah ibn Umar never used that door even after the death of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Because he said, the Prophet said, let's reserve this door for the sisters. He never used it again. You know, we are in a month that is, predominantly being regarded as the month that the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born. But in reality, there's no hadith to support that the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was born in Rabiul Awwal or any other month. There's nothing like that. That's a fact. The only hadith you have is Sahih Muslim where he said he was born on a Monday, and that's it. And a lot of things have been going on wrong. And the question is, those things that we do, what is their relationship with the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and the love for the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam? Ta'atuhu fima amara. Obeying the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in every order that he has given us. Number 2, tasdiquhu fima akhbara. Emphasizing and believing that what the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said is all true. We have modern day Muslims now who are very smart. When I say smart, it's in inverted commas. They're very smart. Say, we live in the 21st century and we are technologically advanced now. Some of these hadith do not make sense, man. Do not make sense. The empirical statistics of science, when the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam speaks, your PhD is useless for us. Yes, I'm being extreme on this one. When the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaks, your Professor Emeritus degree doesn't count for us. That's our identity as Muslims. When the Prophet speaks, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. The Prophet doesn't speak out of his own volition. Whatever he says is a wahy from the Almighty Allah. Take the hadith of, the housefly. Where the Prophet ﷺ said, when a housefly falls into your meal, you dip it into it and then you pull it out, because if one of the wings has the disease, the other wing has what? Has the antidote. Someone will say, man, what kind of statement is this? Hasn't this been proven scientifically? If the scholars of hadith had said this hadith doesn't make sense, and then they expunged it out of the books, we would have lost a great deal of information because of that. A couple of years ago, I read a CNN report that said, if you have a dog in the house, specify a specific bowl for the dog to be eating into it. Don't allow the dog to be licking, other bowls and stuff like that. I said, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, because the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam explains clearly that if a dog licks in one of your bowls, wash it 7 times or 8 times, but then the first one should be what? With sand. The scientists are now confirmed. So if we have a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you come and tell us that it's because of the empirical statistics of science, and then the long project of we tell you, take your science. We will take our Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is who we are. That is our identity. How well is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam manifest in our lives? The sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in our marriages, how we live with our wives. Let me ask myself, and then you ask yourself, how do I live with my wife? Is it according to the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The sisters, how do you live with your husbands? Is it according to the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Our kids, how we nurture them, is it according to the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Sometimes some parents will say the kids, they don't listen. When did they start not to listen? When did they start? When they were in the womb, that's when they started not to listen? No. Your problem is you chose dollars over the nurturing of the kids. That's why you're suffering today. Let me be very blunt with you. You chose to work 20 hours a day over the nurturing of the kids. Yes, that's it. You left them at the mercy of Hulu, Netflix, Paramount Plus, Star Plus, YouTube. You left them there. You left them at the mercy of Disney Plus. So they learned how to talk back at their parents on Disney Plus. They learned how to call the police on you when you discipline them, because you chose dollars over the nurturing of your kids. I'm sorry it's hard, but then that's the truth. There are kids who are born here, they grew up here, and then they memorized the Quran here. Why are yours different? Why are yours different? We have kids who are born here, they grew up here, girls, and then they are chaste. And they are in their hijab all the time. And they are going to school, and at the same time they are attending madrasa. Why is yours different? Let's not hide behind, this is America. No. You are using that to just tickle yourself to lie. That's what you're doing. You are refusing to face the problem head on. That's what you're doing. So don't give me this issue that this is America and the kids have grown wings. When did they grow wings? In the womb? You had her in your womb for 9 months, mommy. You breastfed her for 2 years. You taught her how to put on her own shoes and her own underwears. When did she grow horns? When? Father, when did your son grow horns? When? It's because we didn't listen to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he said, "Murru awladakum lis-salati sab'an," order your kids to pray at the age of 7. You, even the father, you don't pray. Do you think the son will pray? When we wake our kids in the morning, why do we wake them up? Do we wake them up so that they pray Fajr, or we wake them up so that they prepare to go to school? You see where the problem is? The priorities are messed up. So always waking up, wake up, it's time to go to school. Wake up, it's time to go to school. Wake up, it's time to go to school. This keeps on ringing into his mind, and then the only priority he has is what? School. Muhammad, wake up, it's time for Fajr. Muhammad, wake up, it's time for Fajr. Muhammad, wake up, it's time for Fajr. Fatima, wake up, it's time for Fajr. This keeps on ringing in the mind, and then they grow old with it. I'm not here to lecture you on how to take care of your kids. No, you know better. But then, if your kids do not respect authority in the house, they won't respect authority outside. If you do not nurture your kids on the Quran and Sunnah, they will start slapping you in the house before they come and beat us in the masjid. Don't give me this excuse that this is America. No. The masjid that I'm in Philadelphia, the president of the masjid has 5 kids. Or 6 kids. The first child he gave birth to him in Africa, and then he brought him here. He memorized the Quran here, he's now a civil engineer. In Taraweeh, he leads us in Taraweeh. Civil engineer, Hafiz of the Quran. His second son is now about 13 years old now, he's memorized the Quran. The next child is 11 years old, he is now at Surah Al-Ankabut. The next one, 2 girls, they are at Surah Yasin. And the little ones, one of them is in Naba and one of them is in Ala. All of them were born and bred here. And when you talk to them, they don't talk back at you. When you ask them questions, they don't talk back at you. When you speak to them, their heads are like this, they are bowed down. So I've seen examples of successful parents here in America who are full-time employees of the work that they do, but at the same time, they have time to nurture their kids. You don't do that. And your kids become something else in the house. You talk, they talk about back at you. You discipline them, they call the police for you. You end up in jail because of your child. Because you sowed a wrong seed. You didn't nurture the seed well. My brothers, this is hard. You need to receive it hot. The weather is already cold, so I need to give you something hot to turn your minds back. My brothers and sisters, I don't want to take much of your time. Our identity as Muslims, number one, is our relationship with Almighty Allah, especially in these troubling times. It's not easy. And let me tell you something. Don't think it's only America. Oh, my kids, I'm sending them to Africa. If you know what is going on in Africa, you keep them here. If you know the challenges that we're facing in Africa, you keep your kids here. So it's not about, this is America, I'll send them to Africa. It's not going to work. Your relationship with the Almighty Allah is paramount. And when you keep Allah in your affairs, that illuminates in your family and everybody is protected. All of us are shepherds, and the Almighty Allah is going to question all of us based on the flock that He gave us. And especially you, the fathers. Listen, this is not misogyny. And forget about this thing called feminism and this patriarchy. You are the ones responsible for your families, you the men. And I can say this without fear of favor. A lot of us have shirked our responsibilities as fathers. That is why the family system is breaking and disintegrating. You are the one. You are the one that the Almighty Allah made you the leader of the family. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu qu anfusakum wa ahlikum nar. And you shirked that responsibility. And the kids are now worse off. They understand one thing. وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الَّذِينَ أُرْسِلَ إِلَيْهِمْ وَلَنَسْأَلَنَّ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. The Almighty Allah is going to question you the man, you are looking at my face. You, the Almighty Allah is going to question you concerning the ibadah of your wife and your kids. Whether they were praying or not. Whether they were upright Muslims or not. Some of us men, between us and the Almighty Allah, is clean. He's here Fajr. Before even the masjid is open, he's here. Zuhur is here. fasting Mondays and Thursdays, perfect. Fasting Ayyam will be 13, 14, 15, perfect. But then his kids do not care about the deen and then he doesn't care. You will go and meet the Almighty Allah on the day of Qiyamah. Our relationship with the Almighty Allah. And then finally, our relationship with the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. The challenges and the problems that we are facing is because our relationship with the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is very weak. Finally, George Bernard Shaw, an Irish journalist, said, he was not a Muslim. He said this in the 50s or in the 40s. He said, if Muhammad was alive, he will solve the problems of the modern world whilst drinking coffee at his table. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب ربنا إنك جامع الناس ليوم لا ريب فيه إن الله لا يخلف الميعاد ربنا إننا سمعنا منادي ينادي للإيمان أن آمنوا بربكم فآمنا ربنا فاكتبنا مع الشاهدين اللهم أنت أمرتنا بدعائك ووعدتنا بالإجابة قد دعوناك كما أمرتنا فاستجب لنا كما وعدتنا يا رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك قوموا إلى صلاتكم.